Hello and welcome to another episode of the Sunday Surefire Podcast. I'm your host, Pat Martin. Joining me today, as always, my co-host, Ethan Weaver.
Kamesh, how we doing?
Doing pretty good, Ethan. Doing pretty good. Usually when we have guests on the show, we like to say welcome to the program and thanks for being here. But in this case, to welcome back to the show for the second time now, Derek Brown of Fantasy Pros, D-Bro, the king of bros as they call him, is here joining us talking some Dynasty Flagplant players with us here today. D-Bro, what's going on, brother?
What's going on, boys? Nice to be back. See, the place still has the nice new car smell. Appreciate y'all keeping it nice and clean around here. But no, man, appreciate y'all having me.
Yeah, of course. We clean it up as nice as we can here when we have guests on the show. So appreciate you carving up the time in your busy schedule here to come talk some ball with us here. So the tone of the episode's pretty clear here, folks. We're talking Dynasty Flagplant players, just guys that we're super high on going into the 2026 season and beyond for Dynasty purposes as well. Can't wait to chop all that up here. But D-Bro, before we get going into all the players and all the specifics, all the data, all that fun stuff, what do you got cooking over there at Fantasy Pros or in your life in general that you want to share with the audience?
Oh man, it's all the things and stuff at Fantasy Pros right now. Currently, I'm putting the last finishing touches, so like not so much the icing on the cake, but all the decorations. I'm spray painting it and stuff like that. Of my perfect draft article, which I write yearly, has 75 plus players in it. I'm legit just walking you through every single round of a draft and saying, hey, these are the best picks you can make. So I'm finishing that up. That'll be live probably tail end of this week, beginning of next week, somewhere in there for Fantasy Pros. I also, because I know just as well as anybody that if you're listening to this show, you are a Dynasty DGen, you love Dynasty. Getting past the draft cycle, I know a lot of people were not going to take the time and there was not going to be a lot of, shall we say, like just content out there about Brendan Sorsby. So yesterday, I dove into all of his all 22, wrote up an entirely full prospect profile for everybody because I know Dynasty gamers are going to say, holy crap, who is Brendan Sorsby? Is he good? Is he not good? Should I be aggressive? What am I doing in Dynasty with him? So that article as well is live on fantasypros.com. And I'm slowly building towards my top 200. So before things are all said and done and we're in the midst of redraft season and all that kind of crap, I will have 200 players, including, yes, unfortunately, I hate myself, kickers and defenses, 200 players written up. So whether you are doing a conventional 14, 15, 16 round draft or you are going deeper with more teams and deeper squads, I got you covered.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. And I won't ask you to I won't steal too much of your thunder from your Brendan Sorsby article.
Oh, no, it's all good.
Yeah. But so I guess we could do a whole show on what the guy was doing and the ridiculousness and the legal situation involved in that. Just the guy's asking every judge in the continental United States to get an injunction to get him to play football this year. I'm glad it's looking like he's just going to go pro and hopefully it pans out for him at the next level. But I guess where do you come down on it in Dynasty leagues? How to manage getting him, sorted into Dynasty teams? Like, what do you think the right process is in this case?
So I've heard a lot of different ways of like different leagues and stuff, like how they're going to handle this. The best way, I think Rich from Dynasty Nerds put out a wonderful tweet about how to handle this, about basically all the league mates, like blind bidding this, like, submit what you're willing to give up and pick equity, whether that's 27, 28. If for some reason you haven't done a rookie draft yet, 26 picks, but what have you, and basically blind bidding, and whoever has the highest bid wins. But for the player for Sorsby, the way that I come down, and I've also seen a lot of Dynasty leagues talk about just using Fab, put him in the player pool. And so you see fantasy gamers will be making trades in their leagues just to get some extra Fab, just so they can bid over somebody else or over the customary $100 or $100 or $1,000 so they can definitively get Sorsby on their team. But I mean, honestly, man, like I don't want to sit here and play wet blanket, but I come down on I'm a little bit not so much like pro, emptying the clip. Like if you're giving up the Fab, I get it. I'm fine with doing that because even if you could get him on your team and you say, I'm just getting him to trade him and I'm going to get a 27 or 28 second out of it, fine. That's worth 100 Fab or 1,000 Fab. Fine. If you're like, if somebody were to tell you, hey, just give up all your Fab and we'll give you a second round pick and next year or the year after that rookie class, any one of us that plays Dynasty would say, well, hell yeah, do that. Of course. So if it's the fab route, I'm totally down with that. If it's extra picks that you're giving up, then I'm more on the lower end of that because I don't think he's worth a first. I don't think that I'm not willing to give up a first in 27 or 28 for him. I am not willing to give up a second in 27 or 28 for him, because this is even with just talking about him as a player and not even talking about like the uncertainty about it. Because if he enters the NFL, I mean, really, like, if he places another freaking bet, or we seen the Calvin Ridley situation of a year ago, like where he's suspended for a year, or hell, he's out of the damn league because he's got already, this backstory of betting on stuff in college. So that risk is not going to necessarily get equated to when people are just blind bidding in Dynasty and they're talking about the upside and they're not looking at the potential downside. But I mean, we could have a long conversation, or not even a long conversation, but a short one. I don't know if you wanted me to dive into this just about, because I think people aren't aware about who he is as a player. So I could definitely dive through that as well.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to take just a couple of minutes to do it, again, folks, we're talking Dynasty flag plants here. We're not necessarily planting our flag on Brendan Sorsby. We're just kind of talking about the situation that's unfolded and so far this week, and we'll just kind of touch on that and what we should do in Dynasty League. So yeah, but by all means, bro, keep cooking on Sorsby. Yeah,
I mean, so I went through all of his all 22, watched all of his games, every pass attempt, all that kind of stuff, basically his entire 2025 season, and I came into it like, honestly, like I don't watch college football during the year. So when we get to dynasty season, rookie season, NFL draft season, I'm watching all of these guys with fresh eyes. So I don't come in with any preconceived notions of who Sorsby is or who I think he could be or what have you. I was underwhelmed, man. Like, to be honest, like he is the idea and literally the poster boy for a traits-based pick in the NFL. Like, if he was in this last draft class, I wouldn't have put like higher than a late 2, early 3rd round grade on him for the NFL draft class, because does he have arm strength? Yeah, he's got easy flick of the wrist arm strength. He can make every single throw. It's not hard for him to drive the ball downfield at all. But the problem with Sorsby is his accuracy and ball placement are erratic, and that is putting it kindly. Like, if he's operating in a first read heavy, like 3-5 step drop or in shotgun, like get the ball out quickly, he could pepper the short and intermediate when it's designed throws. He wasn't tasked at Cincy with getting past his first read. He wasn't tasked consistently even with half field reads or full field reads. So like many college quarterbacks, and you can say that about a ton of college quarterbacks, but with him, it's applicable to the growth that's going to happen in the NFL. But his arm talent, dude, he's just erratic. Like, the ball placement is all over the place. And that is worrisome for me. When you're going to make the jump from the college to the NFL game, spacing is different. The windows get tighter, the game speeds up. So any kind of like gaffes or shortcomings in your game usually get magnified even more. So if you have problems with your accuracy on a down-to-down basis, it's going to stand out more, and it reflects in the numbers. Like, Sorsby over the last 3 years was 98th, 70th, and 121st in adjusted completion rate. You look at his deep ball completion rate, it was just as ugly. And just looking at 2025, he was 92nd in a deep ball completion rate. So these things, I would much rather bet on a quarterback where, like, can you get better at accuracy? Sure. But the question is how much? If you're expecting anybody to take a Josh Allen type of leap, or anybody like that has taken a massive jump in accuracy, you are betting on an outlier of an outlier of an outlier, when most players are going to end up like an Anthony Richardson. And it's like, we're all expecting him to make this giant leap, and he never makes it. So does Sorsby also have the rushing acumen? Yeah, sure. But he's not like an electric special runner. Like, by the eye test, I'd say probably like high 4.5 type of speed, low 4.6, which is good. But he's more of a straight line runner. He's not going to flip the field. He's not a Lamar Jackson. I'd say, just for everybody to kind of wrap their head around what he brings to the table as a rusher, you're looking at kind of like a Bo Nix, Jackson Dart-ish type of running quarterback. But you team that with the shortcomings as a passer, and where we're talking about he has to grow as a processor and reading the field and getting to like what looks like an NFL game. That's where it's like, I'll let somebody else, because they're going to be at least one person in every damn dynasty league that is going to go over the moon, going to bet, like, just push all the chips in and say, what if, and on the upside, and I'm just not there based off the player. And just to wrap this up, my comp for him, and people are going to think this is blasphemous, but I could not get this player out of my head. Similar skill set is Drew Lock with better wheels.
Yeah, the Sorsby situation is just crazy. I think he did himself obviously a massive disservice by not being eligible, not being able to play at Texas Tech. Well, he got the injunction, obviously got the backlash, decided to opt for the supplemental draft. And he's a guy, to your point, that needed another year in college to marinate and improve his draft stock. So he cost himself a lot of money that way. And a supplemental draft, there have been players that come out of that have been successful, but it's far and few between. So it's just unfortunate for him, but obviously he made some pretty bad choices that led up to this. But Sorsby, I agree with you. I would not be willing to push the first or even the seconds across the table to get Sorsby. If it came to Fab, I would definitely think about just using the $1,000 Fab to turn that Fab into a second round pick. I think that's a good process. But outside that, I think I'm keeping my picks with Sorsby.
Yeah, I'm not going to overspend on a player that we don't know what the situation that he's even going to go into. When does he see the field? What is the quarterback depth chart that he's going to step into? Outside of questions for a player that still has a lot of growth in his game, but if he's buried as the QB3 or QB4 on a depth chart, does he even see the practice reps to even make that type of growth in his game? Because you got to practice and you got to play to freaking get better. If you're not doing that, then what the hell? You're just languishing on a bench, and he's a raw type of prospect coming out anyway.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot to unpack with Sorsby for sure, but I appreciate you taking the time there to run down your quick thoughts on her. I know it's a developing situation too, so there's a lot of different angles to it. And there's there may be more to follow. You never know here. So I am going to pull us up here live on YouTube here. D-Bro, in 1 second, would you mind just sharing the on X just the link again one more time? I'm going to resend it real fast here. Appreciate you, brother.
Are you private chatting me or DMing me a link?
I'm not. If you could just share it there. You can just find it on X real fast and then just hit the resend. That'd be great. Appreciate you. But yeah, like we said, we're out here talking some dynasty flag plant players, guys that we just feel really confident on for this upcoming season, and then certainly beyond on the dynasty landscape. And the last time we had D-Bro on here, it was great. It was a magical experience. The three of us sang "Kumbaya," roasted marshmallows for what felt like an hour over Christian Watson. And since then, it's been an absolute roller coaster ride, to say the least. But now that we're all back together, at a time where the arrow was finally pointing back up on Christian Watson, the guy's fresh off a 4-year, $110.5 million contract extension. $31 million of that is fully guaranteed. The Packers believe in him. I believe in him. Ethan believes in him. Derek Brown believes in him. Go ahead, D-Bro. Just pick us up where we left off a couple of years ago, and let's keep the love train going on Christian Watson.
He's a paid man. Now I think considering what we saw from last year, I was kind of wondering. Basically, if you saw his usage for the Packers last year, they basically shoved him coming off the ACL into the definitive wide receiver one chair at Green Bay and said, look, can you do it? And if you can do it, then we're going to pay you. And he answered the freaking bell, man. He was their unequivocal wide receiver one last year. Once he came back from the injury in weeks 8 through 18, he was the wide receiver 21 in fantasy points per game. Yes, he only drew like an 18.2% target share, but he wasn't even a full-time player, and I'll get to that in a second. But that 18.2% target share still led the freaking Packers. And was Tucker Kraft out? Sure, let's give that context. Tucker Kraft was out, so he's going to have to contend with Tucker Kraft this year for the number one spot, but Tucker Kraft is also coming off the ACL, so that's another worry for Kraft. But if you look at Watson on a per-game basis, yes, he was a top 24 wide receiver. He was amazing on every per route metric that you freaking look at, man. Like, he had 2.67 yards per route run, 0.112 first downs per route run. And for everybody out there that is not aware, like, those metrics, just give us the context here. Amongst 109 qualifying wide receivers last year, Christian Watson was 4th in yards per route run, 10th in first downs per route run, and 6th in fantasy points per route run. And he did all of that, guys, as well as producing as a top 24 fantasy wide receiver, while also only having a 68% route share. which amongst those 109 qualifying wide receivers, that was 56th. So this year, with Dontavian Wicks gone, with Romeo Doubs gone, they are going to consolidate this passing attack. I think you're going to see Christian Watson and player to be named later, whether that's Matthew Golden or Jaden Reed, play full-time snaps in this damn offense. So we're talking about Watson did all of that with only running 68% of the freaking routes. He does all of that this year, as well as gets a target share bump because he is paid and he is the clear wide receiver one, and he's on the field more. He's going to produce even better this year if that otherworldly efficiency, longer time from the ACL, and the fact that if he's an 80% route per dropback player, we always talk about volume as king. Yeah, that comes down to like, okay, targets and earning volume. It also comes down to routes. You can't produce if you're not on the damn field running routes. So if he gets to the 80% mark and keeps this per route efficiency, he's going to freaking explode, man, because as the wide receiver 21 last year, hell, he's got top 15 or wide receiver one. He could be a top 12 wide receiver this season. And for everybody with their damn injury jokes and all that kind of crap, you need new material. You need new material. I like fantasy points and I like talented players.
No, agree 100%. Christian Watson, he's the type of receiver I usually fall in love with, the size, the speed, the athleticism. And I mean, now you add in the efficiency that you alluded to. I mean, on top of all the metrics that you just went over, I mean, he was also fourth in yards per reception, fourth in yards per target. And then for our fantasy teams, he was number 2 in fantasy points per target. So the efficiency that he showed us in 2025, in my opinion, was really impressive, considering the fact that he wasn't even a year removed from that ACL. Typically speaking, we see a lot of these players, their first year back from the ACL, it's a little down. Then we see that jump back a full year, 2 years removed from that ACL. But Christian Watson hit the ground running, was instantly Jordan Love's number 1 target, especially when Tucker Kraft went down. But I think it's wheels up for Christian Watson. As you said, with Wicks and Doubs gone, if that Packers offense can consolidate targets more to Kraft and Watson, there's no reason why Christian Watson can't be a wide receiver 1 this year. So very excited for his prospects. As you said, he's a paid man. So obviously, as dynasty managers, that gives you some safety as well. So Christian Watson, I think he's going to have a great 2026.
Yeah, I agree. I'll just put the ball on Watson quickly. I know the three of us could sit here all night and just sing his praises all day long. But Debro did a great job outlining the sort of the deeper metrics behind how good he was. Even if you want to look at it from a more basic standpoint, the guy was coming off an ACL injury where he had surgery that same calendar year, and he was a top 36 receiver in 6 of the 10 games that he played last year, 4 of which were top 12 finishes, giving us that ceiling that we need in a lot of leagues. And now that the target volume is just going to be more concentrated with guys like Doubs and Wicks and New Holmes and Kraft, of course, coming off the ACL guys. So I think there's still, just based on where he's ranked on Fantasy Pros rankings right now, Dynasty rankings, he's WR31. I think there's still a lot of value in that ranking to be had, folks. If you're in it to win it in 2026, like I think you can still get a good value on a deep ride. Like, you want to have the last word on this one, brother?
Yeah, I mean, I saw where he was in ECR and stuff. I just want to throw this out there for everybody. I've got him at wide receiver 21 in my dynasty rankings. And everybody could say, like, well, that's insanely high and stuff, blah, blah, blah. Oh, isn't he old? Dude, he's a 27-year-old wide receiver entering his prime. He's getting the bump. I mean, basically, this comes down to who would you rather? I mean, I think both of these receivers are both now paid players. I feel like we're having a similar conversation, but we have more proof of concept about Christian Watson, 1, being good, and 2, operating as a wide receiver 1. If you were to just straight up ask a lot of people, who would you rather have in Dynasty, Alec Pierce or Christian Watson? I think the consensus is people will probably tell you Alec Pierce. And it's like, no, I would much rather have Christian Watson. And people are like, oh, yeah, but Pierce is younger. And it's like, yeah, except the context of you want to be tied to Daniel Jones or tied to Jordan Love. Do you want the guy that if you're playing in a 2 or 3 year window, he's going to be the wide receiver 1 for this team, and we have more proof of concept about him operating as such, and the needle is firmly pointing up for Watson? I'm taking Watson 10 times out of 10 over Alec Pierce. But I think like a lot of people versus the consensus would tell you Pierce. Am I wrong with that, guys?
No, I don't think you're wrong about that at all. That's before you even talk on the injury issues that Pierce is dealing with right now.
Yep.
In training camp. They're talking about him possibly being ready at some point in training camp. This is the time of year where you talk about, everyone talks about how guys are in the best shape in their life. Every running back is going to take, they're going to get 100 targets out of the slot because they're going to be a full-time slot player. Like, this is not the time I want to hear about you being injured, especially where he's supposed to elevate and take a big role going forward. So yeah, on top of that, I would definitely have him there. Watson ahead of Pierce. He's ahead of him in my rankings as well. But yeah, Ethan, I think you probably agree too, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Cool. Awesome. Like I said, we could do a whole episode on Watson, but we won't do it. We'll move on here. All right. We said we were talking 10 flag plants. We got the free space on the bingo card out of the way with Watson. D-Bro, give us someone you're planting your flag on in Dynasty for this season.
Why do people not want to believe in and disrespect Javonte Williams? I don't understand that. Like, I was looking at rankings, looking at getting ready for this show, and I see Javonte Williams at RB 19 behind a bunch of other guys like Travis Etienne, Bucky Irving, even Saquon, Christian McCaffrey, who's 30 years old. And I don't really understand it, guys. Like, Javonte Williams is 26 years old. He just got a 3-year deal. Even if you want to talk about, guaranteed money and stuff like that, if we're playing in 2 or 3 year windows in Dynasty, then why do you not love Javonte Williams? There's nobody in that backfield. Everybody could talk up Jaden Blue all the hell they want to. Jaden Blue was not even a part of that freaking offense last year. Phil Maffa, no, please, come on. Like, what are we doing here? Malik Davis is going to be the clear RB2 for Dallas, and it's not going to freaking matter. Like, Javonte Williams is a paid man. He was freaking awesome last year as the RB11 in fantasy points per game and left meat on the bone, because if you look at just the dichotomy of his season last year, weeks 1 through 8, he was the RB8 in fantasy points per game, and it was all just touchdown luck that dried up over the back half of the season. Like weeks 9 through 17, he was basically getting similar volume and still on a per touch basis, still really efficient. Like his metrics didn't dip down the back half of last season. It just came down to in weeks 1 through 8, he scored 9 total freaking touchdowns. In weeks 9 through 17, 4 touchdowns. That's it. That's the only reason why Javonte Williams went from the RB8 in fantasy points per game to the RB25 in fantasy points per game. When you split his season in half, I think we can all agree Dallas is still going to field one of the best offenses in the damn NFL. If anything, if their defense is improved, that's going to lead them to more late game scripts where Javonte can get a little more rushing volume. If his touchdowns even out, what we're talking about, weeks 1 through 8, he scored 9 freaking touchdowns. So if you just double that crap, he's on pace to score what? I mean, I don't want to be like the per game pace guy. 18 freaking touchdowns. Like, I think putting him in a phylum where he has the upside in this offense to score 14, 15, 17 touchdowns is not insane. And yet in Dynasty, he's a low-end RB2? What the hell are we doing here?
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I think in this case you can be the per game pace guy, because he's walking into a ton of volume in a good offense. Like, there's no one who's going to take his job, like you mentioned. But I've been a big Javonte Williams fan the last couple of years. I had 1 million shares of him in redraft, and I'm kind of surprised the market hasn't corrected here. Ethan, where do you come down on Williams going forward?
No, I couldn't agree more. Williams, honestly, is a guy I could easily talked about in this episode. D-Bro mentioned it, just his opportunities and his snap share, opportunity share is in tops of the league. Last year, he had roughly a 69% snap share, which is number 8, and then an opportunity share of 69%, number 14. So he's going to be on the field. He's going to get the majority of touches in that backfield, and he's probably going to be a back-end RB1. I remember last year in redraft, we just had our draft, and I traded away Javonte Williams before the season and Xavier Worthy for Ashton Genty. It ended up kind of working out, but I thought I absolutely smashed the deal. And then Javonte Williams comes out, 2 touchdowns, 20 points, follows it up with another 22-point performance in week 2. And I was like, damn, I think I messed up there. And Javonte Williams obviously had a great season. But just the way it works in fantasy football, sometimes the deals you think you smash, you look back like, that wasn't that great.
Yep. True.
Well, fortunately, that was only a redraft league, so it's,
exactly.
You can go ahead and just rip the Band-Aid off on that one and just move on to the next season. But that's not something we have the luxury of in Dynasty. Unfortunately, the decisions that you make in one season go on to either help you or haunt you for years to come, which is an added layer of fun to it. And that's why it's important that you're listening to shows like this one to make sure you're getting those calls right. You're planting your flag on the right guys. So as we're going along here, folks, please hit that like button. Please hit the subscribe button. Do the same for Debro as well. You can find him on X at Debro. That's DBRO_FFB as well. But yeah, so we'll keep this train moving here, Ethan. Tell me someone you're planting your flag on.
Yeah, my first flag plant for this episode is the wide receiver 1 of the Philadelphia Eagles, Devonta Smith. Obviously, AJ Brown out the door to me and Pat's New England Patriots, so we're happy about that. But just looking at Devonta Smith, last year's production, he had 77 catches, 113 targets, 1,008 yards, 4 touchdowns in 17 games played. He was 19 in targets, 17 in target share, 33 in target rate, and 29 in first read target share. And obviously with AJ Brown, all those numbers should go way up. It's a small sample size, but without AJ Brown in the lineup over the past 2 years, it's been 3 games. Devonta Smith averaged 9.67 targets, 6.67 receptions, 80 yards, and he had a touchdown in those 3 games. But the target share went up to 32.9%, and now per PFF is yards per route run jumps to 2.49, where in 2025 for the course of the season it was 1.98. So obviously we're expecting a big jump in those metrics with AJ Brown out the door. And honestly, I think with his 2025 season, his half-point PPR finish was wide receiver 21. I think that's the absolute lowest of floors for Devonta Smith this year. I think we're finally going to get to see him as the wide receiver 1 in Philadelphia. I mentioned first read target share. AJ Brown last year was number 5, 39.2%. And he was number 7 in first read targets at 103. I expect Jalen Hurts to lock into Devonta Smith early and often throughout the entire year. So as I said, with all those metrics from 2025 taking a jump, I don't see how he's not easily a top 15 wide receiver. With weekly wide receiver 1 upside. And for those, for me, I just traded for him recently in one of my dynasty leagues. It's a win now roster. The 2026 draft class got a lot of, wasn't the most light class, let's put it that way. And I had the 111 and 112, and I moved both those picks for Devonta Smith to get what I thought was going to be a locked in high-end wide receiver 2 back in wide receiver 1 this year. Those 2 picks ended up being Omar Cooper and Jonah Coleman. I would gladly move those players for Devonta Smith to give me another piece to help me win a title. So Devonta Smith, as I said, absolute floor is what we saw last year. I see a ceiling much higher this year with AJ Brown on the move. So I think it's wheels up for Devonta Smith.
Yeah, I think if Lincoln Financial Field had a roof on it, I think Smith could blow the roof off it this year without AJ Brown in town. We saw him get to be the number 1 receiver there his rookie year as well when he was fresh entering the NFL. He held up well enough in that role, but now that he's 6 years into his career, he's in his prime. I think he's absolutely poised to take a big step. He's kind of been a guy who's I think the rankings have lagged a little bit, even though we've kind of known all along AJ Brown has been out of Philadelphia. So now that he's officially gone, maybe that buy window you could argue has been a little bit closed, but I have no problem at all saying with confidence that he's going to have a good season here. He's a guy that I'm looking forward to having some shares of. And if he stays at cost in redraft leagues or dynasty leagues, and if and when we end up doing another startup this year, I'll definitely have some shares at cost for sure.
Yeah, it's a good call on Devonta Smith.
Yeah, definitely. All right, let's keep it going here. I'm going to talk tight end here. I'm going to go Sam Laporta, who's currently ranked on Fantasy Pros as tight end 7. I have him in my rankings all the way up at tight end 4. Find only Brock Bowers, Trey McBride, and Colston Loveland. By now the secret is out that he gets to catch passes in a Drew Petzing-led offense, who is the man obviously pulling the strings for the Cardinals offense the last 2 seasons. And we can talk about Trey McBride's crazy season that he had last year, the 126 catches, 1,200 yards, 11 touchdown stat line speaks for itself. But if you go a little bit deeper and just to see how much Petzing loved having an elite tight end, there's numbers here. If you go a little bit deeper, he's number 1 in tight ends in targets, air yards after catch, and red zone targets. And that's where I want to see a ton of upside from Laporta this season, is in the red zone in 2026. And we've seen him produce double-digit touchdowns in the past at the NFL level in his rookie season. And now he gets dropped into this tight end-friendly scheme at a time where he's finally getting healthy coming off this back surgery. And I know the naysayers can say, oh, well, the Cardinals don't have an Amon-Ra St. Brown on their team. He's going to get his share of the volume as well. And look, I totally get that. But what they did have last season, particularly in the second half of the year, was a Michael Wilson. If you look at from week 10 on last season, which is the week that Michael Wilson's ascension really started to take place, Wilson was third among wide receivers in targets per game with 10.6. And Trey McBride during that same stretch of games was still tight end number 1 overall and on a points per game basis. So we know this Lions team has a lot to prove coming into 2026, coming off a season in which they missed the playoffs. This offense has a lot to prove as well. And I think Sam Laporta just kind of has a lot to prove in his own right to show that he can regain his form from his rookie year. And at just 25 years of age, I think there's a little bit of a buy window here for dynasty managers, just kind of staring them at the face. And if you can capitalize on this and get him on your team right now, you could capitalize on this, on the the benefits for the next half a decade or more. And especially with tight end premium being such a more prevalent format nowadays, those guys are true difference makers in your league each and every week.
Yeah, I love the Sam Laporta call. I also have him at tight end 4 in my dynasty ranks. And just for everybody that's worried at all about Jameson Williams, you really shouldn't be. When Sam Laporta was still on the field last year before he got sidelined by the back injury, he was the clear number 2 option in that passing attack. He was second on the team in target share, second on the team in red zone targets. It wasn't until Laporta was out that you saw Gibbs and Jameson Williams, both of their usage in the passing game both exploded with Laporta out of the lineup. So Laporta is going to get used in the red zone. I love the shout out about Petzing now commanding this offense and like what Laporta can do. And it comes back to like Laporta has been, ever since he reached the NFL, Sammy Ballgame has been one of the most efficient freaking tight ends in all of fantasy. And he's going to continue to do that, health permitted. So adding Petzing here, clear number 2. Jared Goff and this offense is still going to be good. The schedule is really easy for the Lions this year. So I think you add all of this stuff up, and as well as he's playing for a new contract too. Like, so he's got to earn the extension with Detroit. And if he does earn it, that means that he put up baller ass numbers. And if he does that, then everybody in Dynasty is going to be super freaking happy.
No, I agree. I think the buying window is now. I think if you wait on Laporta, he's going to be much more expensive come the 2026 NFL season.
Yeah, I'd be trading for him, guys, if I didn't already have him on all my teams. I drafted him in rookie draft that year. So I've got all the Sam Laporta, so I can't trade for him anywhere, sadly.
Yeah, the flag that you planted on Sam Laporta is up there on the moon next to that American flag. That's how long you've been on Laporta.
Yes, sir.
Love that. Yeah. So again, guys, we're talking dynasty flag plant players here, guys that were just super in on in the dynasty landscape. If you're hearing some of these names and you're interested in trying to learn a little bit more about how you can get these guys on your team, the best thing you can do is leave us a comment right here. We can get your question answered. Whether you're trying to put together a trade proposal, figuring out what a player is worth in your league and all that. The next best thing you can do is go find a trade analyzer that you really like. Fantasy Pros has a great trade analyzer that you can pull up. There's a lot of great work those guys do over there. D-Bro's a part of that team over there. It's one that you really trust. Another one that I really like is over on Dynasty League Football. You can find it on dynastyleaguefootball.com/trade analyzer as well. So make sure you're checking that one out too. Do both of them. Just run those calculations through there and just get some good data from a couple of really reputable sites that have a lot of credit in the industry. So we'll keep it going here, guys. Here, D-Bro, give me another guy that you're really big on in Dynasty at the moment.
I think this is the season where Jalen Waddle just absolutely just buries people that don't like him and that don't believe, man. Like, if we want to just talk about changing ecosystems, Jalen Waddle is going from a team that was 29th in neutral passing rate last year to a team that was 4th in this metric last year. And do you think that Denver is going to slow down with throwing the freaking ball when they just added Jalen Waddle to the fold? It's not going to happen, man. So Denver is going to be top 5 in passing rate. So we're going to see, like, that was the big thing that held Jalen Waddle back last year after Tyreek Hill went out. Yes, he was the unquestioned wide receiver 1, and he was really damn good at it. And everybody wants to throw, he's had injury issues. Well, he wasn't hurt last year, but nobody wants to talk about that because that makes it create a decent sized hole in their argument. And if you look at it on a per route basis, not only is Waddle going from a run heavy offense to a pass happy offense, but if you look at it on a per route basis, Jalen Waddle ran laps around Cortland Sutton last year in almost every freaking metric that I care about, as well as Jalen Waddle amongst 109 qualifying wide receivers was top 12 in basically all those damn metrics. Target per route run rate, yards per route run, first downs per route run, separation score, route win rate, top 12 in every single metric. So not only am I not worried about Jalen Waddle being the unquestionable wide receiver one for the Denver Broncos this year coming up, he's still in the prime of his career. What he did in his rookie season could absolutely come back this year. And I think Jalen Waddle, I just don't understand why he's ranked so low in redraft rankings, why people still dismiss him in dynasty rankings as he's this old player that nobody should be. He's wide receiver 26 on Fantasy Pros ECR right now. He's 27 years old. So if you're playing even if you have a young team, 27 is not 30. He is in the prime of his damn career. If you're playing in a 2 to 3 year window in dynasty, you should love Jalen Waddle. And everybody that's ranking him I just don't understand it. Most people in redraft right now are ranking him as a wide receiver 3, and I don't understand why. Cortland Sutton has been a wide receiver 2 in this offense over the last few years, and then they used a hodgepodge of whoever the hell else rotating versus coverages and matchups and everything between Pat Bryant, Troy Franklin, and Marvin Mims. That is all a function of those players weren't good enough to be on the field in full-time roles, and it was coverage specific. You think Sean Payton's going to trade a first-round pick for Jalen Waddle and not use him? It's insane. And I understand people have been burned by Evan Ingram and some of, RJ Harvey and things like that. This is not the same thing. This passing attack is going to run through Jalen Waddle and Cortland Sutton. Jalen Waddle is going to be the unquestioned wide receiver 1. And again, if he stays healthy, he is a wide receiver 1 for fantasy in the year 2026. Straight up, full stop.
No, I agree completely. I've always been a Jalen Waddle fan, and I think a change of scenery is going to do wonders for him. I think he can have that George Pickens level ascension moving from Pittsburgh to Dallas. I think Waddle going from Miami to Denver can be very similar in terms of his production. I don't see any reason why Waddle can't finish as a top 12 wide receiver. And as you said, he's just been so efficient in that Miami offense. I see that continuing in Denver with a much better quarterback, a Sean Payton-led offense. So it's wheels up for Jalen Waddle. I think he's going to have a career year this year.
Same.
We'll make it a clean sweep on this one too with Waddle quickly. I mean, just take everything we've talked about out of it. Just look at what Sean Payton's offense has been with their top wide receiver in the years at which Peyton's had at least competent quarterback play. I'm not talking about late career Russell Wilson. I'm not talking about the guys he had at the end of his tenure with the Saints, man. I mean, going back to the days of Marcus Colston being a WR1, going back to the days of Michael Thomas blowing up in that top role. Even Sutton was a WR1 last year with Sean Payton. So I just do see I'm just glad that the days of trying to figure out who the joker in this offense is. And I'm happy that they spent that first round pick on Jalen Waddle because they're telling you with their actions who that guy's going to be. And I want slices of Waddle too. And I hope that ADP stays depressed all off season long so I can get my hands on him too.
And this isn't even talking about Bo Nix, who on a per dropback basis has not played well in the NFL. If you look at his per dropback metrics last year, they're arguably pretty bad. If Bo Nix takes even a step and he puts up league average, or hell, if he's good inside of this offense, consistently good, that also raises the ceiling and the floor of Jalen Waddle.
Yeah, true. And even if he doesn't take a marketable step forward, I mean, we saw Sutton have a WR1 season last year, which is there's more than enough upside baked in at the cost of Waddle at the moment for sure. Ethan, who are you baking up over there as a good winner this offseason that you think is going to carry on success going forward in Dynasty?
I'm going to stick with the wide receiver position, and I'm going to go Jaden Higgins, wide receiver of the Houston Texans.
Baby, let's go.
I think this is a guy where you need to buy him now if you want him for anything close to what we would call cheap in Dynasty, because I think he has a chance to blow up this year. He has the mold of, like I said before with Christian Watson, wide receivers. I can't quit. 6'4", 215 pounds, explosive and fast. And he obviously got the draft capital last year, 34th overall by the Houston Texans. So obviously massive commitment in terms of him via draft capital. But I think he has a chance to make a big year 2 jump. If you just look at last year, breaking down his rookie season, weeks 1 through 7 in half point PPR, he was wide receiver 91. Weeks 8 through 18, he jumped from wide receiver 91 all the way to wide receiver 29. And he had 5 touchdowns in that stretch, which was number 21 overall in the NFL. But I think the biggest thing is he just wasn't really utilized in the offense initially. Weeks 1 through 7, he was barely on the field. He didn't eclipse a 50% snap share until week 5, which was 56%. And he didn't eclipse 65% until week 8. And he didn't have one game over 75% snap share. So I think going into year 2, he's the clear wide receiver 2 on the team. I think he's going to get a lot of opportunity, and you marry his talent with an increased opportunity and just growth as a receiver in the NFL. I think it's absolutely wheels up. Right now on Fantasy Pros Dynasty rankings, he's wide receiver 46. I have him more so in the wide receiver 33 range right now, and I think that's keep going.
You have a wide receiver 33?
Yeah, I mean, so
we're hand holding. That's exactly where I have him ranked too.
Yeah, because I mean, I'm looking at the receivers that are ranked in front of Jaden Higgins. I'm like, okay, we're talking dynasty. I get maybe people are looking at through a redraft lens, but I mean, these are some of the receivers that are ranked in front of him. You have Xavier Worthy, Parker Washington, Denzel Boston, Mike Evans, Wan'Dale Robinson, Devontae Adams, Ricky Pearsall, Omar Cooper, Metcalf, McLaurin, and DJ Moore. I think I'd taken dynasty Jaden Higgins over all those guys.
And DK Metcalf, like even Jordan Addison, like I'll take Higgins over all those guys.
Exactly, pretty easily. So that's why right now get in while you can, because I was in one of my rookie drafts this year. I was on the clock at the 108. Jadarian Price was there, and this team was it's almost like a productive struggle. I was acquiring picks, getting younger, and I was like, you know what? Let me somebody hit me up for Jadarian Price. I'm like, give me Higgins. And I asked for 2:27 seconds, which are projected to be early, like top 4 seconds. So I got Higgins in 2:27 seconds for Jadarian Price. And I thought that was a home run because I think Jaden Higgins is going to blow up. So he's a huge flag plant for me. And he's a guy I want on a lot of my dynasty teams.
I absolutely love this call, Ethan. And just to give Higgins a little more love, I talked about it on a Fantasy Pro show last week with Jake and Joe. In 7 of those 11 games, so weeks 8 through 18, he was a wide receiver 3 or better in weekly scoring during that stretch. And to your point, not being a full-time player, he had a 59% route share. So what he did as a part-time player, again, going back to the Watson call, it's like if he gets to a 75 and 80% route share, all of this is going to explode. Not even, we haven't even had the conversation of, we've just seen CJ Stroud be horrible over the last few years. If we get league average CJ Stroud, or hell, if we get good CJ Stroud, then it's to the freaking moon. But during that sample of weeks 8 through 18, amongst 119 qualifying wide receivers, he was 24th in target per route run rate. As an outside wide receiver, because his slot numbers weren't great, which small sample size, but as a perimeter wide receiver, he had 1.93 yards per route run and a 15.1% route win rate. That amongst those 119 qualifying wide receivers, that ranked as 38th and 25th best. So he's good at football, dude. He's good.
He's very good at football. And you mentioned his outside those outside snaps. I mean, most of his snaps, he had 635 snaps out wide and only 121 in the slot. So he's a predominantly outside receiver. So, hey, he's winning on the outside. That's a good thing because that's where he plays the most.
Which is also good because if Houston does use more 12 and 13 personnel or more of these heavy sets, and I love Jalen Knowles' talent. Don't get it wrong. I'm not going to get this twisted. I love Jalen Knowles' talent.
Agree.
But Jaden Higgins ain't coming off the damn field when they go 12 and 13 personnel. Jalen Knowles will.
100%.
He certainly will for now. But this kind of goes back to something Ethan and I have discussed further. We've kind of talked about this guy being a big sell candidate of ours in Dynasty. That's not what we're talking tonight, but we can spend a minute on it real quick too. Would it shock any of you guys at all if Nico Collins is off this team within a year or so?
No.
Would you be completely shocked by that?
No.
If they just wake up one day and decide, hey, like this guy's inconsistent, he's missing time here and there. Maybe we don't want to pay this guy $30 million anymore, especially if Higgins does make that leap in year 2 and they say, hey, we drafted Higgins to be an outside wide receiver, which is a lot of what Nico does, playing a ton of his snaps out wide as well. We like what we have in Jalen Nolan. Maybe they add someone else in free agency, or they add another receiver they like in a deeper class next year. And maybe there's a world where Higgins is all of a sudden going from a guy where I would say, oh, we have these questions like you playing behind Nico on the outside and we don't love Stroud. All of a sudden, oh, shoot, is he now the number 1 receiver in this Texans offense? I don't think that's insane to say.
No, and the other side of it is, even if you want to play the card of Nico stays, it's not like he hasn't dealt with injuries during his time over the last 2 years. So you also do have contingent upside here with Jaden Higgins, where if Nico does miss any time or heck he gets hurt or whatever, then Jaden Higgins is going to be their unquestioned wide receiver 1 in that offense for any time that Nico is not on the field.
For sure. Yeah, I let that call a lot too. I'm hopeful for my dynasty shares that we're all right on this one. So we'll see how that one goes. I'm going to go bring up my first running back here tonight. I'm going to go Bayshell Tootin, who's currently ranked at RB24. I have him a couple spots higher up at RB21. I really like Tootin coming out of Virginia Tech. I was hoping for a little bit more last season, but Travis Etienne, Travis HN, whatever you want to call him. I got to give him credit. I mean, he was productive last season. He paid off for fantasy managers, finished his RB10 overall, RB13 on a points per game basis and half PPR scoring formats. But he's now departed. He's joining Debro's New Orleans Saints down there. Hopefully for your sake, he pans out, but we'll see how that goes.
We'll see.
You don't love it?
I don't love it only in the sense of, if you look at it on a per touch basis, they're paying Etienne for the box score stats. They're not paying Etienne based off of what he did on a per touch basis. Etienne was honestly not awful. So he got there.
Put it nicely.
He volumed his way to a great season. Can he do that in New Orleans? Sure. But is that necessarily the guy that, I want my team to pay and, not necessarily. But I'm with you on the Tootin call. Absolutely.
Yeah, and let's talk about some of that volume that Etienne's leaving behind here. I mean, it's just under 300 vacated touches between the receptions and the rushing attempts that he's leaving behind. I'm not saying Tootin, with his somewhat smaller frame, is the guy to go ahead and take on all that workload by any means. But I look around the rest of the wide receiver room. Consists of Chris Rodriguez Jr., LaQuint Allen, and Amir Abdullah, who is somehow still in the league. I mean, this guy has to be the oldest 33-year-old of all time. I feel like this guy's been in the league since I was 16 years old, which is saying something. But I know Chris Rodriguez has a following, and I get it. He could be a thorn to the side of Tootin on the goal line. That's possible. I do think that's a role he could fill on this team. But other than that, I mean, what is he better at Tootin at? I don't really see anything. And what I'm really interested in Tootin is what he can do as a wide receiver this year out of the backfield, a role where he caught 50 passes in his 2 seasons at Virginia Tech, an area that Rodriguez really struggles in. I mean, in 3 seasons, the guy's caught just 6 passes. And even in that one college season that everyone likes to talk about, where Liam Cohen and Chris Rodriguez were together at Kentucky, I mean, he caught 11 passes that whole season, and 2 other running backs on that Memphis team had more receptions out of the backfield than he did. So it's not like Cohen was utilizing him as a weapon back then and plans on rolling out a 5-year-old college game plan to get him to catching a ton of passes, looking like modern day LaDainian Tomlinson by any means. So, and then lastly with the Jags offense, I mean, they finished 6th in points scored in 2025 with 27.7 per game. But following their week 8 bye last season, they averaged a ridiculous 32.8 points per game, which was ridiculous. It was the number 1 scoring offense down the stretch. I don't expect them to be number 1 overall this season playing against the first place schedule. I don't think they need to be number 1 overall for Tootin to pay off at this mark. I think it's enough touchdown upside with them here to go along with the receiving, where the offense clearly figured it out last season. If he's the guy taking on a big chunk of these vacated touches from a season ago, then I see no reason why he can't outperform this ranking, then become a solid piece of your dynasty team moving forward.
I just keep shaking my head. Yes, you said you have him at RB21 in your dynasty rankings. That's exactly where I have him.
What is this?
Yeah, we're on the same page tonight.
I love Bayshell Tootin as a breakout player this year, and just to add some more love to him, amongst 55 qualifying running backs last year, Bayshell Tootin 5th in rushing success rate, 11th in missed tackle rate, and he was also 17th in yards after contact per attempt. Those numbers matter outside of the nerdydom here, because we have heard Liam Cohen, and he says that front office looks at those analytics and they use them and they care about them. So the fact that Bayshell Tootin was good in those numbers not only matters to all of us in dynasty spaces, but it matters to the damn Jaguars. And to your point also, because I keep hearing people talk about freaking LaQuinn Allen, and they're like, he's going to factor in on the receiving game and da-da-da-da. Can we all have a really honest conversation about LaQuinn Allen, that his counting stats massively overrated him as a prospect? I keep talking about this with people, and it's like they don't understand that sure, if you're used as a check down out of the damn backfield, sure, you're going to put up some really good, gaudy, like box score stats. Can we also have a really honest conversation about LaQuinn Allen as a receiver? Because when I wrote him up as a prospect, I was like, everybody talks about him like he's just this otherworldly receiving back. And I never saw that. For a player that over his final 2 collegiate season amongst all FBS running backs with at least 20 targets, LaQuinn Allen, the dynamo out of the backfield catching the ball, was only 42nd and 77th in yards per route run. Not good. So I'm not worried about LaQuinn Allen taking away routes from Bashal Tutin as long as he could be serviceable as a pass catcher. There are worries about Chris Rodriguez at the goal line. The ultimate bad, horrible run out for Bashal Tutin would be to be Jacksonville's Kenneth Walker, to where he's doing all of his damage in between the 20s. He's awesome on a per touch basis. And then he's just absolutely getting crushed at the goal line by freaking Chris Rodriguez. Is that something that, like, I think we should be projecting moving forward? No. So I'm with you guys. I'm all in on Bashal Tutin. Love the call.
That's a good call. And no, though, I was just going to add obviously the risk with Chris Rodriguez. And if he does garner that goal line, obviously opportunity, that goal line role, obviously some familiarity with Liam Coleman back in Kentucky. So, and Chris Rodriguez, he's been pretty good between the tackles. The lowest average in his NFL career was 4.46 yards per carry. So you could be a thorn in Tutin's side, but Tutin obviously with the athleticism and the upside, he could blow up in a Liam Cohen-led offense. So
that's also assuming that C-Rod is healthy right now, because he's been quietly dealing with a foot injury. Foot injuries scare the ever-loving crap out of me. So I think the fact that they are so quiet about this also is telling of, like, is he fully healthy? Is he going to be healthy entering the season? I don't know, but that's something that, like, we also need to discuss, because for all the Chris Rodriguez worries, that is with the assumption that he is 100% and he's out there.
No, exactly. And yet, to your point with foot injuries, they're just kind of wild. I mean, look at Romo Dunze. Like, out of his own mouth, it's my new normal now. That doesn't give me the warm and fuzzies for Romo Dunze here. But we'll see.
Go back in the time machine. Go back in the time machine. How did it work out for Rashad Bateman or Sammy Watkins? We've seen guys get derailed for multiple years, but because of foot injuries.
Yeah, Allen Robinson actually recently came out and said he injured he had a similar injury, I think, the year before he went to the Rams, and it really just derailed his career completely. He did say he had a similar injury early on in his career, and he was able to work through it, but then it came to light again, and it completely just derailed his career. So it's scary. You just never know how it's going to work out.
You never know how it's going to work out. That's for sure. But, the last word on this, I guess, is there is a world probably where Rodriguez can be that guy you look at, and the Jags are in a positive game script, assuming he's healthy, and you say, hey, this is the week he's going to fall in the end zone. Maybe you can project that. And he becomes like in a league where you play with 2 or 3 flex spots. Maybe you get some utility out of him when bye weeks stack up. But Tutin is the guy that you want to own with Rodriguez mix again. I think that's a very plausible scenario where everyone's a little bit happy, but no one's happier than the people that have Tutin in that situation. Now, Debro, you got one more flag plant for us, and I'm curious to know who that is. Who do you got for us?
I'm going to talk about a Cleveland Browns wide receiver, and it's not the one that everybody expects me to probably talk about, because
Jerry Jeudy, huh?
I'm in. Let's go.
Firmly never. I'm firmly in the never.
Ethan's still a Jeudy guy, unfortunately. We're trying to fix him. Maybe you can talk him in.
Steve Smith has not done a lot of things right, but one thing he did right was call Jerry Jeudy basically being a poser and not a real guy. He's not a dude. He's a guy trying to be a dude. Dude, I could easily make you. I could talk about both Cleveland Browns wide receivers and make you a wonderful case for Kesey Concepcion. I'm actually going to go with the guy that didn't get enough. He got disrespected throughout the entire draft process. He fell to the second round, and oh dear Lord, look at training camp, and Denzel Boston is getting open at will because he's good at football, guys, and he proved it in his final collegiate season. And I love every single year when we get in this narrative echo chamber bullshit realm where everybody's like, oh, he's too slow to be really good. He's not actually that good at football. People need to stop, man. This dude was 5th best in contested catch rate amongst all FBS wide receivers with at least 10 contested targets last year. He was also top 50 in yards per route run. If he had legitimately at least average quarterback play in his final collegiate season, he would have been even better as far as all the per route stats and counting stats, because he made his quarterback in that final season right so many times when he was wrong. Boston has legit route running chops. He can threaten a defense at all 3 levels, as well as I don't want anybody to come at me with that he's slow, because he is definitively not slow. We need to get out of this world where everybody that doesn't run a damn 4.2, 4.3 or a low or a high 4.3 is slow. I can rattle off a laundry list of guys that have run in the 4.5s year after year after year that everybody comes out with this crap narrative. I can go back to Tedero McMillan. He was too slow. He didn't watch film, thus he sucked. Drake London was too slow, and oh my gosh, he couldn't separate. We talk about Cooper Kupp was too slow. DeAndre Hopkins, T. Higgins. Do I have named enough players yet for everybody to get it through their damn thick skulls that shit doesn't matter? As long as you run fast enough, I care about your route running chops, your ability to separate, your ability to understand leverage and set up corners, and your abilities as a route technician. And Denzel Boston has all of that, as well as being a catch point winner. He consistently dominates the catch point. The guy is awesome. And as much as I think Casey Concepcion can be the wide receiver 1 in Cleveland, there is an easy run out where that could easily be Denzel Boston, or this is a 1A, 1B situation. So as much as I love KCC, and I absolutely love Casey Concepcion, I love Denzel Boston just as much. I have so many dynasty teams where I just drafted both of them. And I'm like, look, we're betting on talent here. Nobody wants to because the quarterback situation is bad in Cleveland. How many years do we have to play dynasty, guys, to where we understand that you just bet on talent with wide receivers? Because quarterback situations and team situations and coaching situations change just like that, to where, all of the A.J. Brown worries and he's not going to get enough passing volume. Didn't matter. Doesn't matter. All these other guys where the team sucks around them. Oh, wait, they're really freaking good at football and the situation changes and it doesn't matter and everybody's left with egg on their faces. I don't play any of those kind of games. I bet on talented players, and you see the run out and the cream rises to the top. And that's somebody I want to do with Denzel Boston.
Yeah, it's definitely a good way to go about it. I mean, you talk about a room that needs an influx of talent. It's the Browns wide receiver room, and I think they got two good guys in the draft. I mean, if you want to look just to put the bow on just how bad they were last season, they had, as a group, the wide receiver room had 1,476 yards last season. Puka Nacua and Jackson Smith-Njigba both had more on their own. Like, it was great. And those guys are amazing. But they beat out like 7 guys over the course of guys that mix in over a 17-game season. So it's kind of crazy. But what I like the most about Boston is the price too. I mean, on DLF, he's WR 44. I have him up at WR 33, and I'm sure based on what Debo says, you probably have him even higher. But
let me look at my rank for him. I think I've got him. I got Denzel Boston, a wide receiver 22.
Okay,
wow.
So that's that's way
very
that's
high
on
Boston.
Okay,
very high on
hold
Boston.
On. If quarterback was not an issue, if we fast forward this a year and you airdrop one of these top end quarterbacks that's actually good into this offense, where would you be ranking Casey Concepcion and Denzel Boston if the quarterback situation was already figured out and they had a good quarterback? Where would you rank him, guys?
A lot higher than they are now.
Exactly.
Right.
That's exactly my point. Like, we're playing both the short-term and long game with Dynasty in the 2 to 3 year window. All I'm saying with my chest is this guy's really damn good at football. He's young. He got high-end second-round draft capital. And I'm projecting forward, okay, fine. Either Shedeur Sanders is good this year, Denzel Boston goes screaming up the ranks, or they find this guy in the draft, or hell, they sign a guy next year, and he's really stinking good. I want to be ahead of market on that.
No, it's a fair point. I'm in the process of writing an article right now for Dynasty League Football where we're doing a series as a site where we're covering each team and talking about one player who a year from now is going to have risen in the rankings, one player is going to have fallen in the rankings, and one player who's kind of a long shot. And my riser, it had to be Denzel Boston, just based on the price point of where you can get him. He doesn't even have to show you a ton in year one to be ranked higher for the case that Debro just laid out. It's a deep quarterback class coming in 2027. And like you said, if Shedeur Sanders does ball out this year, then you have a quarterback and he's going to be, then Boston will be good this year. And if not, help is on the way. And I kind of secretly like what the Browns are doing overall and improving their roster the last couple of drafts. That's something I haven't really said much in my 35 years on this earth that I like what the Browns have cooking. But, I actually kind of do, where they're building the infrastructure of the team and hopefully airdropping in a quarterback upgrade as early as next draft cycle.
The other out that they have there too is they will actually have cap space after this year, and that Watson contract is off the books and stuff. They have a young team. So even if you don't want to go the route of, they draft a quarterback and blah, 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 they could easily bring in a quarterback and pay a quarterback too. So
yes, maybe some guy, hits the trade market where he's done in the situation, and obviously Cleveland's ready to roll. So I like that a lot. Well,
the only thing I can definitively tell you is Baker Mayfield will not be back in Cleveland. Outside of that, all bets are off.
Yeah, I feel like he might be good there. I feel like
who knew?
Baker doesn't have a long-term deal yet with the Buccaneers, so hey, you never know.
yeah, because the Browns really respected Baker first go around.
Oh yeah, they just kicked him out the door.
Yeah. Oh, they wish they had him now.
I like what they're doing now, guys. I said I like what they're doing now, not what they've done the last 2 decades. Okay, well that's digging up old stuff. We don't need that.
Yeah,
all right. Fair. We'll keep it rolling here, Ethan. I know you have one more Flagplant player in Dynasty Circles to bring up here. You got one more. I got one more, but I want to hear what you got first.
Okay. For some reason, I stuck with the wide receiver position this entire night. I'm going to continue that trend, and my last Flagplant player is Zay Flowers, and I'm looking at his rankings on Dynasty Fantasy Pros and DLF. So Fantasy Pros, he's 23, and DLF, he's 27. And I'm trying to figure out why is he so low, coming off a wide receiver 7 finish in half point PPR. And I think the reason why he's ranked lower than I have him is because the way he amassed his fantasy points last year. And it's you look at weeks. Most of his fantasy points came at the end of the season. So weeks 1 through 13, he was wide receiver 29, averaging 10.5 half point PPR points per week. In weeks 14 through 18, he was averaging 17.5, and he was wide receiver 3 down the stretch. So that's where most of his points came from. So during the majority of last year's fantasy season, he really wasn't the most, usable piece. He wasn't putting your team over the top. But I think that can be explained away by Lamar Jackson and his injury last year. He obviously hurt his hamstring. He really was never the same throughout the year, but he hurt his hamstring in week 4. And then the quarterback play throughout the year with Tyler Huntley and Cooper Rush was just abysmal. There was a total of 8 games with those guys taking snaps, and they combined for 2 touchdowns. So obviously it was not a very efficient offense with them at the helm. But if you just look at Zay Flowers and what he did last year, he was just uber productive. And he had 86 catches for 1,211 yards and 5 touchdowns. He was number 8 in receptions, number 6 in receiving yards, number 5 in yards per route run with 2.62, and number 6 in target separation, 2.15. If you look at next gen stats, he had the second most receiving yards versus man, third most deep reception yards, 4th most slot reception yards, second play action reception yards, 3rd motion receiving yards, and then 4th in crossers. The guy was just getting open all over the field. He was very, very efficient, even with subpar quarterback play at times last year. And they were also 32nd in team pass plays per game. So with the new regime and Declan Doyle coming in, who has time with the Bears and Sean Payton, I think this offense will be faster paced, and I think it will be more high octane when it comes to passing the football. I don't see why Zay Flowers can't get over 1,300 yards next season. I have him ranked as a high end wide receiver 2, and he's ranked as a back end wide receiver 2 right now, even a wide receiver 3 in some spots. So I'm very, very high on Zay Flowers. I just think his efficiency metrics were off the chart. I loved what he did last year. The guy can get open at will, and I'm excited to see what he can do in a new offense with a hopefully healthy Lamar Jackson. But I think it can be wheels up for him. And if he does what he did last year and what I project to be even better season this year, he's going to get a huge bag.
Yeah, as you're kind of going through everything about Zay Flowers, I felt like I was disrespecting him in my dynasty ranks, so I bumped him up the
we got movement.
I mean, he's low.
He was too low.
He's way too low.
I just overlooked in my dynasty ranks, to be honest, because like I'm with you. Like I think the one thing about Zay Flowers that kind of like worries me, but also it's like, could we see this change? Is the cap ceiling for his receiving touchdowns. Like he's never scored more than 5 in a season. So like with Doyle, could that change? And also, is he kind of due for like a spike season where he like Zay Flowers with his size, he's never going to like be a prototypical like guy where he gets like 10 to 12 every single, like 10 to 12 receiving touchdowns every single year. But he's kind of due at this point to like spike to like 8 to 10 in one of these seasons. And because if you look at every other freaking metric for him, he's awesome.
He's awesome. Like, he's awesome.
He's absolutely awesome. Like if you take the size out of it and stuff like that, like again, like you pointed to a lot of the stuff in man, this dude is 7th best last year in separation versus man coverage and 8th in route win rate versus man coverage. And everybody would look at the size and they say, hey, he's 5'9", 182. There's no way he's that good versus man coverage, but he's that damn good, man. He's an awesome route runner. So
he is. To
your point too, haven't we seen like a Baltimore offense that is legit every single year been bottom 2, bottom 5 in passing rate? Like, what if we get one of these years where I'm not saying they're going to turn into a damn pass happy offense, but what if they're just like 20th in passing rate? Like if they just turn it up to where they're just like 16th to 22nd in passing rate, then you're looking at Zay Flowers, like just by doing that, his targets go from like the 110s to like maybe the 130s.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth there. That's the point I was going to bring up here on this topic. I mean, Harbaugh was there for forever. Like, there's people walking this earth that don't remember the Ravens before Harbaugh was coaching this team. So it really is a new day with this regime coming in here. So yeah, they've been in the top 5. I checked at one point. I think it's since 2018, I believe is the stat. They've been in the top 5 in rush attempts per game. And now we don't know exactly what it's going to look like. They have Derrick Henry, they have Lamar. They're going to be a run-based team. But like you said, Debro, if it goes up even just a little bit, it's going to rise all those boats. And if I look at the boats on the pond and the Ravens pass catchers, it's an aging Mark Andrews who's looked hit or miss at times lately, and it's a bunch of young guys who haven't proven themselves. And I'm just taking Bateman off the table for this conversation, but that's just how I see it too. Like I think this could be a career year for Zay Flowers for sure, and that's fun. We might have to clip that little spot there where Debro adjusted his rankings live on our show. So we'll. I
live moved him up all the way to wide receiver 17 because I felt like I was just massively disrespecting him, dude.
I was shocked when I was looking at different platforms and where they had him ranked, and I just couldn't believe how disrespected he was. I mean, the guy just came off a wide receiver 7 finish, and like I said, I understand it was a little volatile at times, but I mean, look at what happened last year. So it's he's being slept on right now. So it's you might want to go acquire some Zay Flowers shares.
I mean, I'm even looking at like Dynasty, ECR, and Fantasy Pros right now. We should not be living in a world where freaking Rashee Rice is ranked ahead of him in Dynasty. Like that should not be. Like, just pointing out a few names, like Rashee Rice. I would take Zay Flowers over T. Higgins. I would take him even over Devonta Smith when we talked about him in this show. And I think you have even more proof of concept. Like, I'm not going to rank freaking Luther Burden over Zay Flowers. I'm just not doing that.
No. No, yeah, and honestly, I know even some names that I could rank that I have ranked over that I have Zay Flowers ranked over. I mean, I have Zay Flowers over Garrett Wilson. I have him. I mean, I have him. Chris Olave is a tough one because it's like he's like still he's so
Yeah.
good, but the injury thing is always tough to bake into that cost. So I would probably take Zay Flowers even over him. I would take Zay Flowers over Nico Collins. So I have him up there. I think Zay Flowers is going to have a hell of a year.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah, he's definitely slept on at the moment for sure, and especially for a guy who's done it already. But yeah, big things coming for sure for him. This next guy is slept on. He hasn't necessarily done it himself, but he's definitely being slept on in dynasty rankings for sure. That's Ted Hurst. He's currently ranked WR 60 on Fantasy Pros. I have him WR 50. Look, I think that's a good reaction. I guess we'll find out. I guess we'll find out when I
dude, you are just speaking to my soul right now. Teddy
all right,
Hurst,
nice,
baby. Let's go.
There you go. I thought the Fury was going to come out there, but let's go. That's good. We'll keep the positive vibes moving here with our last player. Hurst was not a household name coming out of college. So if you're kind of just getting back into it now, maybe you haven't had your rookie draft yet, maybe you're kind of a little unfamiliar with him. That's fine. I get it. He started at a D2 school, finished out his last 2 seasons at Georgia State program that plays in the Sun Belt Conference. I'm not going to hold it against you if you're not watching that all day on Saturdays before you crush NFL games all day on Sundays. But he's a guy who really has a little bit into his game that I think everybody in the dynasty circles can latch onto. You like taller wide receivers with potential to win in the red zone. He's 6'4", 206 pounds. You want athleticism. He ran a 4'4", 240 and had an 11.3 broad jump. And he had an athleticism score of 87, which put him 4th in the class at the wide receiver position. You want college production. In his 2 years at Georgia State, he had 127 catches for just under 2,000 yards, 15 touchdowns. And you want opportunity? Let's take a minute and talk about the Bucs wide receiver room, guys. And it's funny how things can change so quickly in the NFL in just one season. A year ago at this time, we were talking about, I wasn't talking about it, but people out there in the community were talking about what a bad landing spot Tampa Bay was for Emeka Egbuka because of how crowded it was and all that. But fast forward a year, like their long-term wide receiver one of Mike Evans is gone. Chris Evans is now 30 years old in the last guaranteed year of his contract with the team. And they can save over $13 million against the cap if they move on from him going into next season. So the long-term WR2 role is very much on the table. And when I look at the contestants to fill that spot in the long run, I see Jalen McMillan, Tez Johnson, and Ted Hurst. And if I'm betting on someone from that group, my money is firmly on Ted Hurst all day long. I know that McMillan's got this cult following. I think they meet on Tuesdays over in Gollum's Cave or something. Not exactly sure.
Precious.
Let them do their thing, I guess. I don't know. But look, I just can't get past all the moves the team has made following Jalen McMillan's rookie season where he supposedly broke out, right? After the 2024 campaign, they re-signed Godwin. They drafted Egbuka in the first round. They drafted Tez Johnson late. Then they grabbed Ted Hurst in the 3rd round this season. Like, I just think add all this up. If they were really long-term sold on Jalen McMillan being this stalwart of their passing game, I don't think they necessarily would have gone out there and made all those moves. And like the key here, I think, for this season is if Godwin shows his age at all, or he misses time for a 3rd consecutive year, the door is going to be wide open for someone to come in here and take a full-time role in this offense. And it would not shock me at all if by season's end that Hurst takes over as the number 2 pass catcher down the stretch of this season. And I just can't believe he's still ranked this low. And if I can still buy low on him in leagues, I want to do that.
Where do you have him ranked again? And so I see in Dynasty ECR and Fantasy Pros, he's wide receiver 60. Where'd you say you have him ranked, Pat?
I have him WR 50 right now. And honestly, you can stand to go higher, I think.
I got him wide receiver 45 right now in Dynasty.
Okay, nice.
Ted Hurst was like a man crusher me, like all pre-draft process. Freaking love the kid. Like I had a 2nd round grade on him. Loved his film. Absolutely loved it. 61.1% contested catch rate in college. 84th percentile collegiate target share. Almost a 70th percentile college dominator. Take those numbers for what you will. Dude, his films just spoke volumes to me where, you talk about like the Georgia State stuff. Also, we have to talk about the constitution of like the quarterback play at Georgia State. It wasn't amazing, dude. Like the film speaks. Like people want to talk about it and they discount these players that come from smaller schools. And it's like, if you watch the film, you could tell if the guy's really damn good, not just withstanding like bad cornerbacks, D2 cornerbacks, what have you. If he understands route nuance, how to get open, the variations in pacing, leverage, all these types of things, you could see what you need to see out of the video for the guy without like dismissing him and saying D2 school, what's he gonna do? Like, come on, man. Like, I'm absolutely with you. Like, I think Ted Hurst is going to go and be like there. I think there's a world we could be living in as soon as this, going into 2027, where he is the unquestioned wide receiver 2 in that offense right behind Emeka Ibuka, because Jalen McMillan is not it, dude. To your point, they love him so damn much they get drafting wide receivers every single freaking year to replace him because they love Jalen McMillan so much. I believe in Ted Hurst, man. Like, I'm absolutely with you. 10 toes down. Love this kid. And I think he's a screaming buy. Again, coming out of a wide receiver class. And I'm looking at my rookie ranks right now. Post-draft, I have Ted Hurst as my wide receiver 7 of the class, behind only Carnell Tate, Kesey Concepcion, Jordan Tyson, Mekhi Lemon, Denzel Boston, and Omar Cooper Jr. I got him above Brazel. I got him above Deshaun Stribling. I got him above Chris Bell, Skylar Bell, Antonio Williams. I got him above all those freaking dudes because guess what? He's better at football.
And I'm glad you said Stribling's name. I don't want to put us on too much of a tangent on this. The top of the second round, that pick should have been Denzel Boston. That should have been the guy that Niners selected.
Yes.
But if you had told me instead of Stribling that they took Hurst, I would have said, you know what? At least I can see it, because this guy has all the tools to be an awesome player. And you drop into a system like that, I think you would have been great there.
And just to put more love on him, like, because I feel like, okay, so in all dynasty rookie drafts, for everybody that just ride with me on this train real fast, for everybody that's already gotten their dynasty rookie drafts like knocked out and all that kind of stuff, you had the top 12 picks were basically locked in. Everybody was taking the same exact players in top 12. Once you opened up the second round, and it was like, it's a bonanza. It is get your guy season. Who do you like out of this class? Okay, draft them. The guy that is sitting 13th overall for me in Superflex rookie rankings, the top of the freaking heap, the number one guy I wanted if I had a second round pick that I put at 13th overall in this rookie class, Ted Hurst.
There you have it, folks.
Yeah, and not much to add. You guys are Ted Hurst truthers right now, and honestly, he's one of the guys that if I saw him falling in my second round of these rookie drafts, I would try to move up to grab him, because I do believe in the talent. I do think he has a lot of opportunity. So we'll see if that blossoms. But yeah, Ted Hurst, I think he's a very good football player and can do very good things for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Get on the Ted Hurst train, folks. Get on the train. You won't regret it. And make sure that going forward, you're hitting the subscribe button on this podcast so you're not missing the train here. Don't miss the train on Debro as well. Again, you can find him on X at Debro_FFB. Debro, thanks so much for coming on here, carving out the time, brother. We appreciate it.
Oh, man. Thank y'all for having me. Absolute just blast of an episode. I know it sounds like we're just agreeing. We didn't share any of the, just for everybody to pull back the curtain here. I didn't know who y'all were bringing up on this show, so it's not like we shared all these names. It's just we're all hand holding and it's just a love fest. Like I really believe in not only the players that y'all brought up on this, but the process behind that, all the talking points that y'all had for this show. So absolutely fantastic content, guys. Thank y'all for having me so much. It was a blast.
Yeah, awesome, man. We'll definitely have you back on here soon. Ethan, any parting words?
No, just very much appreciated, D-Bro. You're welcome anytime. And as you said, just a great episode. Talk about a lot of good players that I think are going to break out in 2026.
Let's do it, boys. All right, folks, thanks so much for following along and listening. Until next time, peace.